Hello, everybody. Katie Smith here. I am a local real estate agent here in Greers Ferry for Carlton Lake Realty, and I also enjoy flower farming and gardening of all sorts. Today, I'm going to take you through how I do my soil blocks for my garden. I start thousands and thousands of seeds in the winter for flowers to be blooming in the spring for bouquets. So, we're just going to work through here. I'll show you what all I use. Okay, so I'm going to show you the soil blockers that I use. You can get them on Amazon, Johnny's Seed Supply, Gardener's Workshop. I like her stuff. But what we have here is we have this one. Mine's pretty dirty. Ignore that, but I use it quite often. This one will do 20 3/4 inch blocks. It'll stamp them out for you. Great little handy tool, and of course I've had mine for years and years. And then I also use this one. It will do 4 2-inch blocks, and if you see these little squares, if you'll notice, they're the same exact size as these little blocks that you stamp out. So when you stamp out bigger blocks in this one, and you need to upplant some of your smaller blocks that are in your 3/4 inch blocks, those 3/4 inch blocks will fit right down snug into that 2-inch soil block, so you can expand the growing area for your plant. Sometimes you can't plant them out when you really need to. It's still too cold or whatever it may be. Snow on the ground like we are right now, so you need to give it more room for its roots to grow so it doesn't get root bound. You're going to have to plant up. You can buy these little kits online on Amazon that comes with the 2-inch and the 3/4 inch blockers. So that's probably how I would do it if I was you. That's up to you, optional. But I will also show you some more things. Now this here is a sifter, and this one's made by Garland. You can get it on Amazon as well. You can get it at Gardener's Workshop. You can get it at Johnny's Seeds. They also sell it. And this is what I sift my soil into. This, guys, is just a huge, extra large cat litter box. They do make the trays for your soil if you want to. It has like no front on it. It just has the 3 sides, and the sides angle down on the side. But this is a lot cheaper, so I went with this option, and it's worked great. I've used it for years, still going strong. So, and on your soil blocking seed, I'll just show you, this is what I use. And I order it off of Amazon also. The Gardener Workshop also sells this, and it is excellent soil. Now, with any soil, to do these seed soil blocks, you will need to sift your soil, which is what we will be doing today in the sifter that I just showed you. So I'm going to pour some soil into this sifter. We're going to sift it out and show you that whole process. All right, so I'm going to take some of that soil, and I'm going to pour it in to here. You don't have to do a full sifter at a time. I actually find that it's better not to do a full sifter at a time, just because it's harder to get it all sift through there. The reason you sift is you don't want big clumps of bark or other objects in your soil blocks. You need them to be one solid piece and not pieced together with a bunch of big pieces of bark and stuff. You don't realize how much of that stuff is in here until you actually sift through one of these. So I'm just trying to knock some of the big pieces of soil apart to make it easier for sifting. Like there'll be little pieces of aluminum and all kinds of stuff in there that you don't realize is in there, but in this sifting process you'll see. So you're going to shake this from side to side, and as you can see, it's sifting this loose soil down in here. But I'll show you. You can hear it and see it. See all these big pieces of bark and stuff that's left in there? A little piece of like aluminum foil, some rocks. Like, you're going to find that. It doesn't matter what soil you buy, you're going to find that stuff in it. So I just pour all that stuff out into the trash can. And what you're left with is perfectly fine soil to be able to make your soil blocks. Okay, now the next step that you're going to want to do is get this soil that you've just sifted moist. You want to be able to pick it up and make it into a ball, but yet not have water dripping out of it when you do that. That's when you know you've got too much water if you do it like that. So we're going to pour some water in there. And I just have an old spatula that I use. And also another thing that I find that's good to mix it up with is a old potato masher. I use that also. But we will get this mixed in here. Just pour a little bit of water at a time so that way you don't overwater it. If you do put too much water in, just sift in a little bit more soil to thicken it back up. This one is starting to look really good though. And this will make so much more. I know if you've got limited space and you don't need to be doing a bunch of trays of the 125s or the 72 cells, this makes it so much easier to plant tomatoes or flowers, whatever it is you're wanting to plant. Now, in the 3/4 inch soil blocks, you will need to remember that the seed needs to be able to fit in that little bitty block. You don't want the seed to be way bigger, because I mean, when it starts to grow roots, you're going to need to up it into a 2-inch block as soon as you do that. I made a little bit of a mess, so just keep that in mind. Today I am going to be planting some broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I need to also start some artichoke, but I don't have any of those seeds, so I'm gonna have to pick some up when I go to Conway this week. All right, guys, so you see this is great. Like, you want it to pick it up, squeeze it, water not to be falling out, but yet, you know, be good enough to make a ball or, you know, one of these blocks. So we'll start making some blocks and I'll show you that whole process. Okay, so what I use to put my blocks on, you can use whatever you want, but you want a tray that has some edges on it, because when you water it, you're just going to water it from the edges. So you don't want to water directly on top of your blocks, because you don't want to just destroy your block structure whenever you pour it in there. So I bottom water just along the sides and just kind of bring water all the way around the edges, and that'll let it absorb into that block and be watered properly. These little trays, I get them on Amazon, and they're, I want to say, like 5.1 by 7.87 or something like that. Anyhow, very inexpensive. If you want to, you can save your styrofoam from underneath your like meat at the supermarket and just wash it real good and reuse that. I've done that also. So anyhow, that's what you got here. And now we're going to take this, and you want to press it down and work it from side to side. Flip it up, make sure all your blocks are nicely filled in. I like to take the same spatula and just kind of rake down, you know, so we're not wasting a bunch of extra soil, just to make it flush. All right, so now we will put this on our styrofoam tray. We just press down. I just give it a couple little squeezes just to make sure that we get it out. And here we have 20 of the 3/4 inch soil blocks that are ready to plant in. I'm going to go ahead and do just a few more. just to fill up this tray. And then I'll go over with you how you plant in that. All right, so we got that. We're going to knock off the extra soil. And we're going to butt it right up next to the other one. Give it a couple squeeze. And there we have it. Okay, now we have our whole tray filled up. That's 60 individual blocks, 3/4 inch blocks on this one tray, guys. This is 60 plants you can have planted right here in this little bit of room. So that's why I love to use soil blocks, because I need all the room I can get with as many seeds as I plant. Now I will also do I have 2 of these, but on these 4-inch blocks, see these rounded tips? You can, if you don't plan on using your 2-inch block to level up on your 3/4 inch blocks, and you just want to plant a seed directly in that block, this one's the best way to go. Now, you don't have to buy a whole nother one of these to have these. It will come with these tips, and then it will come with these tips that you can put on there for your blocks. So it's really a preference on what you want to do. I do use those. I just keep them like that. I bought 2 just to have them separate like that, just so they could, have their own, and I don't have to change it out as much as I use it. But I'll go ahead and stamp out a set of these big blocks just to show you what they look like. Okay, and I am going to use the one with the rounded tips on it, because I am planting sweet pea flowers directly in this to be able to go ahead and get a head start on those. I have some that are in here, and I'll show them to you after I get these blocks made up, just to kind of show you where they're at and how long ago it was I planted them. I'll show you the root system as well. So same thing on this. Obviously, this takes a lot more soil, so you'll just have to go through here, get it really good and mashed in. You want those blocks nice and firm. All right, in the same process, I just take that, level it off, and then we'll take this. All right, and so here's these blocks. I don't know if you can tell, but see these little areas there? That's where you put your little seed in, and then you'll just close it back up to after you plant it, unless your seed needs light to germinate. And then, of course, you'll want to not close that over. You'll want to leave it like it is. All right, so we will finish making the last of the big soil blocks. Get off all that extra. All right, perfect. So I'm going to move this to the side, out of the way, and show y'all. There's my big blocks, and then here are my smaller blocks. Now, I don't need 60 broccoli plants, so I am probably going to take that spatula and move some of these over to another tray, and or either partition them out and do some Brussels sprouts and some broccoli on here. But let me show you guys some of these other plants. Okay, so just to show you, these are some big blocks. As you can see the roots there on the bottom. They don't really get root bound. They just kind of all get under there together, and you can pull them apart pretty easy. But these are some sweet peas. As you can see, these are not the sweet peas you eat. They are the flower. And look how big these are, guys. And I can just take this whole block out there and go plant it and be that far ahead of everything that I couldn't already be going that far along in the ground. These were planted on 1/4, and today is 2/1, so almost a month old, and I'm already that far ahead of the ball game, being able to plant everything indoors and get that going. I do have a greenhouse. It's not got insulation in it, so I all these spells right now, I haven't had anything out there, but I do need to go ahead and move them out to the greenhouse. As soon as the snow melts, I'll be planting these outside. I mean, this one's even bigger than the last. There are actually, I planted 3 seeds in this one block just because I didn't know. I've had these seeds for a long time, so a lot of times, you know, the older seeds won't germinate that great. Well, all of these germinated. So I have 3 seeds just in this one block here. So I'm going to set these over here. All right. And now this is 60 plants in this one tray. These are snapdragons. I plant these to sell in bouquets, and they are doing great. Now they do take a lot longer. These were planted on 12/19. It takes them a while to germinate, and they're not fast growers. So these are to the stage where I really need to get them planted out, but I need to wait for the outside temperatures to get a little bit higher. And once I plant these out, I will actually cover these up with row cover out in the garden. I'm not gonna, you know, just leave them like this. So, but that just gives you an idea. Like, look, you can get 60 plants in this little bitty tray. Imagine getting 60 plants, what you'd have to do if you're doing them in square containers or something like that. It would just, you know, it would take up so much room. So there's that. Now we're going to show you how I do the seeds in the blocks. I can show you the sweet peas. I'll go ahead and plant those in these blocks over here, and then I'll also start some broccoli and show you how that goes. And then I'll show you guys all my plants that I have right now under grow lights in just a spare bedroom here in the house. Okay, so I have my big soil blocks that you've seen me make already. And then I have some seeds here from Johnny Seeds. They are the Mammoth Choice Sweet Peas. And I am just going to, these were tested in 2022. So like I said, they're old. And so that's why I put a bunch in, just to be on the safe side instead of just doing one seed. But as you can see, the other ones that I showed you a minute ago, they were just fine. So I'll take a couple seeds, drop them down into the hole. Get a couple more. Okay. All right. So as you can see, the seeds are down in the holes. And what I'm going to do is I just take my finger and kind of push some soil on top of it from the sides. Just to cover them up. Always read your packets, and they'll tell you on the packets if they need light to germinate or any of that. Let's see. These say to pre-soak for 24 hours. I don't do that. I just take my chances. And I use a garden marker here. And I like these just because they're not going to fade or anything like that. So anytime I make my little things to stick in the ground outside, I always use these kind of markers to do it, so that way they'll be there. So I'm just going to put on here that I'm doing sweet peas, and it's February the 1st of 2026. And so that way I can keep up with how old they are. So that's all on that one. And now I'm going to go on to planting my broccoli and my Brussels sprouts. And what I've done here, I've just decided I'll do 20 Brussels sprouts, 20 broccolis. That'll be plenty. And then what I'll do is I'll write on each end which one it is. And that way I'll know. So when I go to plant them, I'll know. And I always write the date. All right. so we got that wrote down. And on these, I do mine a little different than you all probably do, especially with these itty bitty tiny seeds that you get from your broccoli and stuff. I use a toothpick to do all of mine. Let me just see. I need to get a lot of things going, lettuce and everything right now. All right, so here is the hybrid broccoli. These are some seeds from Johnny's that I got last year. I still have some left because I'm not going to plant 100 broccoli seeds. So what I do is I put them in this little tray right here, and then I use a toothpick. I get it a little wet and then set that seed right on top of that soil block. And I just do one seed per block for this. I don't see where there's no need to do a couple, because these seeds are from last year. They're not several years old. If they were, I would probably do several seeds into each block. Okay, now I am going to plant Brussels sprouts. These are Green Gem hybrids. These are some older seeds. They're a couple years old, and they're a lot smaller too than the broccoli seeds. So I will put a couple of these seeds per sale. I got these little trays too off Amazon, so they sell quite a bit of them together. So I just reuse mine over and over. I don't get a new one every time I do this. Okay guys, so now after I do all that, what I do is I bring my trays in here and I set them on. These are heating mats that I have in here, and then I take just from your kitchen or whatever. I have extras just for my plants, but you know, that you would sit your cookies on and stuff like that. I set those over the top of the heat mats just to allow a little airflow in between there, just because if not, these seeds are probably going to get like burn up, you know. We don't want them to be that hot. So I will bring them in here and do that. And I have to water these every day, of course, or you can even use like a little spray bottle to mist the tops of them, depending on, you know, how moist they stay. I keep my house at around 67, so I don't keep it real hot, and mine do great, but I still have to water them every day. So here we have straw flower stock. These is Bells of Ireland. These are pincushion flowers, Rebecca, snapdragons, all these are snapdragon, Bells of Ireland, more snapdragon. Green Mist, that's really just starting out, and Campanula, that takes a while. You can't even hardly see these little seedlings, but this is Lady Pink Hibiscus. This is Eucalyptus. You can't even, they're so teeny tiny that you can't hardly even see those. You have stock, sweet peas, bachelor button. As you can see, these need to go out. It's already getting a little bloom, so I just snap that off. We don't want it to bloom inside. I need to really get these out, and these need to go out too. They're getting a little yellow. I fertilize them every week, but still, it doesn't matter. You know, they need to be out of these soil blocks. They're ready to go outside. This is White Amy, more stock, that straw flower, and these up here are going to be well, they're actually, some of them have started to sprout. I don't know if you can really see them or not. So they're so teeny tiny, but they are Lisianthus. I don't know if anybody's ever grown those before, but my goodness, you have to be patient with those. Very, very patient. These also are Lisianthus. I'm not seeing much on those just yet. They were all planted at the same time, but it takes them a very long time. Oh, and these are starting to bloom. You can see, or to sprout. They are pansies. And this is a tray. It's 125 in this tray. I don't necessarily grow those to cut them or anything. I just grow those to have some pretty colors in the spring. And now this down here, you can see that's ranunculus. I'm excited about those. I need to sprinkle some vermiculite on top of those so they don't start getting algae. Same with the this up here, because these will algae up and stuff just because they are so teeny tiny and they take forever to grow. All right, and so that's how I do my process of starting seeds in soil blocks. I hope that you all enjoyed the video, and I hope it helped you out a lot. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I have a YouTube channel called Garden Realtor, and you can go on there. I'll put this video up on there too, so you can reference back to it after your class. And if you have any questions, shoot me some comments on there or messages. And make sure you go and subscribe to my page and follow along on my flower and garden journey. Thank you so much. Have a great day.